Where to begin? A lot is there, but the state is not yielding to the speech. Okay. So you start somewhere. Ask me a question.
Master, what's the difference between we are aware of Master, what's the difference between we are aware of spiritual condition and we are not aware of spiritual condition? Does it make any difference from a spiritual point of view?
Aware of spiritual condition?
Aware of spiritual condition, not aware of spiritual.
Oh, it's a very deep one. See, Babuji used to say in Hindi, "Jana to ye jana ki kuch nahi jana." Meaning, loosely meaning, you are unaware to the extent you are aware. Okay, you didn't get it, okay. Let's look at it differently. When there is profound lightness, extreme lightness, or let us say we are able to read things when there is light. Okay. When the intensity of light crosses its limits, will you be able to read? Knowledge is also like that. When you go so far into these realms of knowledge, that itself becomes ignorance at one point. That's what Lalaji talks about. At the highest, it is all ignorance. But it's not ignorance as we understand. It's so much knowledge is there, but there is no need to grasp it or understand it. It is there. Knowledge personifies itself everywhere. That's what he calls it, a tamas, absolute ignorance. But it's not absolute ignorance. It's full of knowledge. The way we cannot read when it's full of light, you just need a little bit. So this little bit of awareness that we have is the working consciousness with which we interact in the world. Would you be able to interact with the world with the superconscious state? No, because you'll be hitting the stones only. You'll have to come down all the way to their level and talk. No? So it is quite funny, it's paradoxical to say, oh, you are unaware to the extent you are aware. See? It's always trying to say, don't worry about all these things. Go on moving into this with a lot of faith. The moment you become aware that you have so much of faith, that itself is a problem. That creates awareness. That's another way of looking at devotion. Just now, during the session, I almost opened my eyes to write down one profound thing, but then I didn't have my diary. So I struggled to remember it. I said, okay, and your question has brought that sentence back. If the first point is about if you consider first point as the island of devotion, then the fourth point is the ocean of devotion. Think over it. Okay.
Pranam Master. This question about Chit Lake in Hindi is Jheel. And like you mentioned, in the beginning the color of the Chit Lake is grey, and then when we reach very advanced stage it becomes ruby in color. So this color is like color of the water in the lake, or what is that?
Water in the lake, yes. Yes, you're right.
And other is this color changes suddenly from grey to ruby, or there is any intermediate color also?
Recollect the story I shared with you in the morning. You're welcome. Okay. Yes, brother.
Master, there are few abhyasis who, after taking the sittings or satsangs, they cry, saying that there are some personal problems at home, especially like either that the husband doesn't want them to meditate because they feel that they are going off in a different tangent, or in other cases where the husband is having some drinking problems and there are some personal problems at home going on. So besides as preceptors advising them to just pray at night, for them, is there anything that we can do, like from work perspective, on the other spouse side, so that
No.
it kind of solves?
Let's look at it logically, practically. What could you do? You go to his house and beat him up? You can't do anything. We are helpless in such matters. I have shared with you a story about my preceptor who started me on this path, Draupadi Agrawal. Similar situation. Mother-in-law wouldn't tolerate her meditating. Husband can't look her meditating. So she would wake up early in the morning before everyone would wake up, see, and she would meditate under the quilt, pretending sleeping, see. And her evening cleaning was in the toilet, as pretending that she is cleaning the toilet, see. So for those who like to practice, they'll find ways and means how to do it. You leave it to them. If you like it so much, find the way to do it. I mean, everyone will have a different situation, see. The differences, let's say, who doesn't have the differences, husband and wife? Let not Sahajmarg become the excuse for that difference. We should be able to unify them. Say, okay, he doesn't allow you to come, stay at home. Don't fuel this separation. Stay home. We'll include you during the satsang. If he's doing some puja or if he's going to church, go along with him. Sit in the church and meditate. Or if he's insisting, okay, let's go to a theater. Often this question used to come in India especially. When we as students used to go to Rajgopalan's and Draupadi's house, and wife would come up with a problem. He always takes me to the movie and I don't want to go to movie. It's a small thing, right? The preceptor then would say, okay, just sit there with your open eyes and connect yourself with Master. Just put your hand around his neck also. I mean, how does it divert your attention from Master? Recently, someone sent me a Kadwa Chauth joke. Have you seen that cartoon? Okay. Kadwa Chauth is the festival, not festival, but the ritual. Indian women, they perform, especially 4th day or 5th day after full moon that just passed recently, right? 4th moon. And it rises around between 9 and 10, depending upon where you are at night. So she is supposed to look at husband through the mirror? Huh? Oh, Chalni, okay. And so there's a cartoon looking at through the Shiv. Husband is there, right, with thick glasses, and they made it purposely fat and ugly. That husband, and in that Shiv, almost looking like a mirror, they had a photo of Hindi film actor. So even with such ritual, they are able to corrupt it. Let us ennoble it. See? you can put around him and to think you're hugging Babuji Maharaj. Well, instead of spoiling and bringing in your consciousness down to hugging a film actor, you can ennoble your consciousness by thinking, okay, you are with Babuji or you are with Master. So, idea is to spiritualize our material existence. Don't fight with it. It's not that you are giving in, you are seeing the higher picture. You are taking the adverse situation and making it to your advantage. Everything, wherever we go in business world or in family life or in office work, there will always be resistance. But the wisdom says, turn it toward your advantage by spiritualizing it.
Master, you mentioned tamas. Is tamagun and tamas the same?
They're two different ones.
Master, is there any way to develop the craving in the abhyasis in addition to do praying?
Well, this can happen only by being an example to them. See how you conduct your life. Let your craving become contagious. You can't preach them. If you pay attention to reading of how Babaji describes journey from first point to second point to third point to fourth, he says our devotion now brings us to the second point. At second point, I am not exactly quoting, but he says our devotion and craving brings us to the. It says increasing order of devotion. At third, fire of love brings us to the third point. It's even increasing order. As we move on, it involves a lot from us. It demands a lot from us. I cannot say, oh, higher I go, lesser I involve myself. Then it will not work. And remember this logic. The logic that works in Pinda Pradesh, in the heart region, where the way journey begins, the same logic doesn't apply in the cosmic. And in central region, that logic doesn't apply at all. If you read that, there is no journey in central, it is only expansion. But before entering central region, it's a different sort of a, I would say, propelling. It's somewhere along you must have read where Babuji is given a message. It is there in the audiobook Towards Infinity. Have you read that book? Okay, we have included one talk by him. If you like, I'll find and send it to you. You can listen to it. He says, we move from here to there, and towards the end, after crossing cosmic region, Parabrahmand, Prapanna Prabhu, and Prabhu. And he says, now we become eligible to enter the central region. And he introduces 64 points there. And these 64 points are crossed in less than 2 days. Right? And these points, the way they are crossed, why are they crossed? I mean, why are we made to cross 64 points in less than 2 days before we enter the central region? It is in order to gain the momentum. And then if you do it slowly and take 64 days, you won't have that sort of momentum to jump into it. See? So higher we go, it demands much more from us. In next preceptor seminar, I would like to touch upon two different approaches Sahaj Marg applies. One approach Babuji says, when he communicated with Lalaji Sahab, so Lalaji told him, what you are doing now is exactly according to what I was doing, which is called Dayal Sakti. This methodology of ascending from the heart towards the center, right? Ascending from 1 to 13. But there is another method. And then Babuji asked him, what is it? So Lalaji keeps quiet, silent. He doesn't say anything. So Babuji doesn't press this issue. After a few days, when Abhyasi comes to him complaining of certain problem, immediately that method pops up to him and he discovers that method. And from that day till 1968 or so, he discovers 14 points, additional 14 points. And then he conveys it to Lalaji. I have discovered 14 points. No, there are no 14 points, there are 21 points. So he masters it and then shares it with some of the senior preceptors then. So we'll take up those points, but suffice to say that triggered the invention perhaps of sticking to cleaning from the backside. Master also knew this method. So one day, just a few months before, I would say sometime in May or June of 2014, there was some situation and he said, we can do this, we can make this man important. So it was a serious conversation. Now I'm laughing though, because it was hilarious to my heart then. So Master, why don't you teach me this? I will never teach you this. You know, even though he had tubes in his nose, I will never teach you this. He became very serious. Like Lalaji telling Babuji, he keeps quiet. But in that silence, he triggers something so that he himself be in a position or capable enough to invent it. Then there is more joy in it, see? If you tell somebody, okay, this is what it is, but you won't enjoy it. That's what I think Master did. And instantly descends the method. And then when I read these from Babuji's works, just recently I thought, let me try some new methodologies which were there prevalent. And they tied up so well how to make a man important. And those were 6 points out of 21. When you press them, job is done. And the remainder points, they have their own specific roles, I think. So we'll take them up one day. Right now, let us go back with this, master this art. Okay.
Yesterday you said,
Sorry. So after Brahman Mandal, basically there is no expansion of the Atman.
No, I didn't say that. Once we reach Parabrahman, it goes beyond expansion. It doesn't mean expansion stops. That thing is transcendent altogether.
Yeah, because I was thinking that in central region you said it expands again. That's why I was just trying to.
That's a different sort of expansion, perhaps. This language is very tricky. Expansion and the physical word means something else, you see. And spirituality is something else. Sometimes when you say you're going inward and expanding, how would you explain this? Inner expansion.
That's why I was reading some text. They say Brahman means expansion.
It is expansion and thinking. Otherwise, air will become Brahman. Air can't think. There has to be consciousness along with expansion.
Master, you talk about 64 points that you mentioned.
No, I don't know. No, I really don't know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, in the Preceptor's Guide, I read something about you're not actually cleaning the points, but you are supposed to visualize that there is a knot is being opened up.
Mm.
So, is that somehow tied to this clockwise, anti-clockwise, or what does that actually mean?
See, when we do the right and left cleaning, that generally takes care of opening of the plexus. That loosens up. Yeah. Complete opening, we don't recommend in Sahaj Marg. Just enough to go through the experience and move on. Complete opening can be disastrous. And this opening happens to the extent there is moderation in the system. Cleaning the point P, what will happen? It will have similar effect, absolute impotency. Or cleaning and activating the point 2, the immense peace will be there. You'll become vegetable. I don't feel like doing anything. That's why when we are at point 2 and you don't feel like doing things, you don't feel like working, and housewife will say, maid will look after the cleaning of the house and cooking, etc. You lose interest in mundane activities. Similarly, when the fourth point is cleaned bit too much, you become fearless, which is not good either. Fearlessness in the hands of a wrong man can be catastrophic. Politicians, for example, they become fearless. So all these things, we should not focus specifically on one particular point because it's not good. It brings about one directional growth. We need overall growth and in moderation, in balanced state, not too much of anything.
So I was recently reading that preceptors, if they put their hands on kids' heads or on the back, it may not be the most prudent thing because it might open up spiritual things. So is it something that we should stop doing, or I wasn't quite sure.
Well, as far as possible, don't do it. It's okay with your children or kids. Or when you do it, just think of master and then just. Don't take it to the extreme. I will not look after your baby. Even my eyesight is very powerful. I won't look at him. If you have the ability, to let go of your power from hands, you have the ability to withdraw it also and then touch. Right? But nothing of this sort will happen. Just be careful, that's all. Awareness should be there, that you're aware of what you're handling, especially when you're handling children. It makes you more aware how to behave, how to look, how to even touch, because they're more perceptible to such things.
Is there a technique to reduce the number of hours of sleep for the willing?
Well, if you find, let me know. There is no harm in sleeping.
Master, how about this seventh point? I think he mentioned, Babuji, very great, like it takes thousands of years, somebody to go around, I think Brahmana Mandala something. Seventh point, I think. Is anything more we know from you?
Read the book. No, nothing to add, more to add at the moment.
Master, is our subtle body eventually will die out too? Subtle body.
What about subtle body?
Subtle body eventually will die out like our physical body.
Well, subtle bodies are the one that gives us identity. And identities remain till the final dissolution, when the whole withdrawal into the center will happen at Mahapralaya, when the whole universe will collapse and goes back to its final contraction, they say. It will last till then, yes.
Good evening, Malik. My question, some of the points are also referred to as chakras, but yesterday we said that the points and the chakras were different.
Not different. Chakras are wrongly translated as we call them points. You see, chakras literally meaning, chakras are wheels. Wheels are dynamic. They're always moving. When you talk of points, it gives you a wrong idea that it is static. In your mind, third point, okay, it's a point, it's a station. But it's a wheel, it's always rotating, see. There's a movement there all the time. Okay, so thank you all. So I don't know, is there a need to reassemble after dinner? But yeah, better have some good questions.
When we meditate early in the morning, there is some sensation that keeps coming throughout the day. Like even when we are at work, when we are in the meetings, there is some sensation that keeps coming. Like as of how we receive transmission during meditation, there is a sensation that keeps coming through the day. Maybe until like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, something, even when you are driving the car, there is this feeling, it's very nice. Is this, at the time there is some awareness, is this awareness what we call as constant remembrance?
Yeah, you can say that. But constant remembrance should not be static. You see, you can be thinking. But when you feel and get drowned, that is different. See? When you often we say, Babuji's logic is very simple. That if love is there, automatically you remember your beloved. Now we don't know God, we don't know Master. So we put the reverse equation. We think, we remember, so that it becomes love at one point. But we remain in the habit of thinking and remembering, but not allowing love to develop. Somehow that fear remains. That's why drowning, the word drowning is very important. When you get drowned, you're not conscious of it, you're letting go of things. Okay, so let it be. I'm being drowned. There is no resistance in being drowned. There is no limit to it. But you have to practice it at home, not in your car. Because this remembering is a very funny thing. You remember mostly the guys you don't like. I don't like this guy, and you always think of that person. And people will remember love so much. Okay, remember him later. Just giving you the farce example of it. So remembrance should be there, but one must be drowned in remembrance. It's okay when we talk to newcomers, abhyasis, we don't scare them. So okay, you meditate. Hold on to the experience. That's all. Let them start appreciating the experience. When you start appreciating the giver of the experience. Then the love starts slowly. See. Let's reserve it for later.